Poseidon, known as the Lord of the Sea, is a significant figure in Greek mythology. He is associated with various elements such as drought, floods, earthquakes, and horses. Despite his importance as one of the Olympians, I haven't covered Poseidon in my videos until now, even though many of you have been requesting it for almost 2 years. Finally, it's time to delve into the depth of Poseidon's story and explore the magnitude of this topic. To understand Poseidon's significance, we need to start with the Mycenaean religion, which can be considered the origin of all Greek myths. In this ancient belief system, Poseidon held a prominent position. Interestingly, the role we now associate with Zeus originally belonged to Poseidon. Even Persephone, typically known as the daughter of Demeter and Zeus, was initially considered the daughter of Demeter and Poseidon. However, it's important to note that Zeus emerged later as a deity, and his prominence overshadowed Poseidon's role in some versions of the mythology. One of the earliest stories involving Poseidon tells of his transformation into a horse to mate with Demeter, who had transformed into a mare. Such transformations into animals for the purpose of mating are recurrent themes in Greek mythology. Although the Mycenaeans associated Poseidon with earthquakes, he was primarily linked to the underworld and its rivers. This association with the underworld is intriguing, as it is commonly associated with his brother Hades. However, in the absence of his brothers, Poseidon played a multifaceted role, resembling a versatile Swiss Army knife deity. The exact perception of Poseidon as the god of the sea among the Mycenaeans remains uncertain due to limited knowledge about their culture. However, subsequent poets and writers agreed that his association with the sea became prominent after the defeat of his father. Over time, as the Greek religion evolved, Poseidon became one of the original 6 Olympians, born to Cronus and Rhea. All the siblings, except Zeus, were swallowed by their father at birth. Some versions of the myth suggest that Poseidon, like Zeus, was given away by his mother. When the brothers eventually overthrew their father, they decided to divide the world and rule different domains. Zeus manipulated the process to favor himself and assigned the underworld to Hades by drawing the shortest straw. Poseidon, drawing the second shortest straw, claimed dominion over the sea, while Zeus emerged victorious and became the ruler of the sky. Poseidon is often depicted wielding his iconic trident, which has become inseparable from his image. During the War of the Titans, Zeus freed the Cyclopes from Tartarus, and in gratitude, they forged powerful weapons for the gods. It was during this time that Poseidon received his trident, which became a symbol of his authority as the god and ruler of the sea. Although Poseidon is the most well-known deity associated with the sea, there were others before him, including Pontus, Thalassa, literally meaning sea, Oceanus, and numerous minor deities and offspring. The reason we primarily refer to Poseidon as the god of the sea is because he assumed the role of its ruler. It would be impractical to name all 10,000 sea-related deities, so Poseidon became the representative figure. Moving beyond Poseidon's divine status, we can explore his romantic involvements and extensive progeny. However, due to the limitations on video length imposed by YouTube, I can't mention every single lover or child. Nevertheless, it's worth noting that Poseidon's relationships and offspring are numerous, reflecting the rich tapestry of Greek mythology. As I look ahead to creating videos on Zeus and darker episodes of mythology, I must maintain my sanity amidst the distractions caused by my neighbors. Their incessant noise and disruption make it challenging to record videos. While I've never wished harm upon anyone, I can't help but entertain the thought of a lightning strike befalling the precise location of my noisy neighbors. Such a stroke of luck would enable me to upload videos more frequently than once every 400 years. It's a light-hearted musing, but it emphasizes the frustration caused by the circumstances. Zeus, I'm directing this message to you. Hades and Poseidon have received their respective videos before you, and it's time for you to step up and deliver your own captivating narrative. The viewers are eagerly awaiting your story, so it's high time you get to work on that video. I think these random tangents have become a regular feature in most of my videos, and I've decided to keep them for the few people who lack a sense of humor and think I'm being serious. Just to clarify, I don't actually want anything bad to happen to my neighbors, even though they sometimes make it difficult for me to create videos. But hypothetically, if they were to disappear, I can't say I'd miss them too much. Now, let's move on to the topic of Poseidon's romantic relationships and his children. We should start with his wife, Amphitrite, and the peculiar story of their marriage. When Poseidon expressed his desire to marry Amphitrite, she tried to escape and remain a virgin. In order to bring her back, Poseidon sent his dolphin spirits, which were among his most cherished followers. There are two versions of this story. One claims that the dolphins kidnapped Amphitrite and brought her back against her will, while the other suggests that a persuasive dolphin convinced her to return and marry Poseidon. It is because of this dolphin's actions that dolphins were placed in the sky as the constellation Delphinus. In a version written by Roman poets, the same dolphin organizes and officiates their wedding. Moving on, Poseidon and Amphitrite had two notable children together. Their son, Triton, often mistaken for Poseidon due to carrying a trident, had the upper body of a man and the tail of a fish, making him a giant merman. The Tritons were sea spirits resembling mermen. They also had a daughter named Rhodes, who personified the Greek island of the same name. However, some poets disagree on whether Poseidon was Rhodes' father, suggesting she was the daughter of Amphitrite and an unnamed man. Regardless, both Triton and Amphitrite lived with Poseidon in his golden palace in the Aegean Sea. Poseidon had numerous lovers, and one of them was the nymph Scylla. When Amphitrite discovered this affair, she transformed Scylla into the hideous sea monster known today. According to poets, Poseidon then turned her into a coastal cliff in the Straits of Messina. Poseidon also had twins with Medusa, born from her beheaded neck, Pegasus, the winged steed, and Chrysaor, a boy with a golden sword. Additionally, Poseidon had an affair with Aphrodite while she was still married to Hephaestus. When they were caught, Poseidon pleaded with Hephaestus to let them go, and in return, Aphrodite had an affair with Poseidon. The complex web of relationships in the Real Housewives of Olympus becomes confusing, with multiple affairs and marriages overlapping. Poseidon's children were numerous and varied. He fathered gods, demigods, nymphs, giants, animals, and a host of mortal children. Bellerophon, Theseus, and Lamia were among his famous mortal children. Despite the gods' dislike for the giants, Poseidon was the father of several, including Orion, Attis, Crius, and the Alladai. Animal offspring were also attributed to Poseidon, with Pegasus being the most famous. As the god of horses, it makes sense that Poseidon had multiple horse children, including the fast and speaking horse, Arion, and the golden fleece-flying ram, Chrysomelos. Poseidon was involved in numerous stories and conflicts. One well-known tale is the story of Perseus using Medusa's head to slay the sea monsters Cetus and save Andromeda. This occurred because Queen Cassiopeia claimed her daughter was more beautiful than the Nereids, angering Poseidon, who was married to one of the Nereids. In retaliation, Poseidon sent the sea monster, and Perseus intervened to save Andromeda. Another instance of Poseidon's involvement was when Odysseus blinded the Cyclops Polyphemus. Poseidon answered his son's prayers for revenge by sending a storm that stranded Odysseus and his men for 10 additional years. Poseidon also had a dispute with the goddess Athena over becoming the patron deity of Athens. In a drought-stricken city, Poseidon created a saltwater spring by striking his trident against the ground. However, the people preferred Athena's gift of an olive branch, symbolizing peace and providing food and firewood. Consequently, Athena became the patron of Athens, leaving Poseidon discontented. In the story of the Minotaur, King Minos prayed to Poseidon for a magnificent bull to prove his divine favor. Poseidon granted his request, but when Minos tried to deceive him by substituting another bull, Poseidon turned the original bull wild. Additionally, Poseidon fathered a vast array of children, both divine and mortal. Some of his famous mortal offspring included Bellerophon, Theseus, and Lamia. Poseidon's stories and relationships are numerous and often intertwined. Trying to make logical sense of them can be challenging, so it's best to accept the mythical nature of these tales and move on. Poseidon's influence extended to various realms, including the sea, horses, and even conflicts between gods and mortals. In ancient times, fishermen had a ritual to protect their nets and ensure a safe return home. They would offer a tenth of their catch to the Delphin, a deity associated with dolphins, so that their nets wouldn't be destroyed. Additionally, they made sacrifices to Poseidon, the god of the sea, seeking his favor to avoid any disasters at sea. Poseidon was believed to have the power to create new islands by thrusting his trident into the ground. Conversely, when enraged, he would cause earthquakes, floods, and devastate ships and fishing villages. This earned him the epithet Earthshaker. Some people even believed that drowning horses during storms was a way to appease Poseidon, although it seemed counterintuitive and likely to provoke his anger. To travel, Poseidon chose not to swim, considering it inefficient. Instead, he rode a chariot pulled by hippocampus horses, which were essentially giant seahorses with fishtails. There has been an ongoing debate about whether Poseidon should have been the ruler of the gods over Zeus, similar to the beliefs of the Mycenaean civilization. However, there is no definitive way to settle this argument without personal preference. Ultimately, Zeus held the highest authority, as determined by the ancient Greeks, and disputing their own religious beliefs would be futile. There are no established power scales or measurements devised by poets and historians. Although some quotes suggest Poseidon's potential to rule, most agree that Zeus possessed the greatest authority. This provides the most reliable way to determine power without speculating. Thus, to address the frequently asked question of who is stronger between Zeus and Poseidon, the answer is simply Zeus. Drawing a playful analogy from Pokemon, thunder is super effective against water, reinforcing Zeus's superiority. If you're interested in a video detailing Poseidon's lovers and children, feel free to let me know in the comments below. However, I must admit that I won't be able to fulfill that request. Nonetheless, leaving a comment and liking the video is greatly appreciated, as it enhances video interaction and supposedly increases your chances of avoiding lightning strikes and advantageous outcome. So, go ahead and engage, unless you happen to be one of my neighbors.